Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Cinema Review. On this week's episode, we're covering from 1981, Evil Dead.
Yeah, this movie goes to show what an ancient dagger, a curious book, and a reel-to-reel tape recorder can do to ruin a vacation.
Yeah, this is just sitting back and watching the best of Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell as Ash. He will forever live on.
Yeah, this is where it all started. One of my favorites for sure. And we hope you guys enjoy it. Speaking of which, if you do, and if you are, leave us that 5-star rating on Spotify. On Apple, you can leave us a written review. And sit back, relax, and enjoy Evil Dead. Hey, this is Dave with the Old Dirty Basement here with David Fly from the Tsunami Experiment. How's it going?
What's up, brother? How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Yeah, we're getting ready to cover the Evil Dead from 1981. And at the end of this recording, I had a little story that I remembered about you and a buddy of ours, Matt, and the Evil Dead back in the 80s. It might have been Evil Dead 2, though. I might have been confused on that. Do you kind of vaguely remember that, us talking about that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, maybe a little maybe a little underwhelming for you, the story. I mean, maybe I don't really have quite a specific story, but I think it was more, yeah, it was definitely more Evil Dead 2, because that would be, I mean, like, yeah, we're about the same age. So,
right.
Yeah, I think our buddy Matt T, definitely, he was always ahead of these things, much more, I think, than a lot of us. And even back then, you know, he was always finding these things long before me. And I'm sure from Blockbuster and where else would you get it, right?
Right.
Yeah, but he definitely had saw it first and brought this to me. And it was Evil Dead 2. So I think we had to be about 12 or 13 years old. Man, I just remember it was just so different from, you know, any other horror movie you've ever seen. I mean, I remember at that time, you know, things like, I don't know, like Children of the Corn and Night of the Living Dead. And this is just like nothing else. I mean, it was such a great movie because it had, you know, all these, you know, very bizarre way of filming that you're much more of a film buff than I don't know really what that's called, but it was almost seemed sort of like fake and surreal. Do you know what I mean? Is there a name for that?
I'm not sure, but you know, it kind of shocked me when we get into this, that Sam Raimi, he was like 20 years old. They were all real young when they made this, but I mean, you seeing this movie at such a young age, like you guys were way ahead of the curve. I didn't find this movie till I was probably 19, 20 years old, and it was through Matt that we were talking about. So I just always remember that because I didn't know anybody who knew about Evil Dead until I was into my, you know, late teens, like I said. So I always thought that was cool that you guys got to discover that. I don't know really what I would have thought at that age, like 12, 13. It was definitely different, like you said. So you remember knowing that, though, at that age, like, hey, this is something different.
Oh, yeah, definitely compared to the, like I said, other, let's say, standard horror movies that would be out there. But just like the whole thing with him cutting off his hand, right?
Right.
Fighting his own hand. It was just so bizarre. And I think even, right, there's a part where then like his hand like gives him the middle finger,
yes,
flips him off or something.
Yeah, that definitely in Evil Dead 2, that was definitely more like slapstick stuff and all that. Evil Dead 1 had some of that stuff, but you could see as they progressed, you know, it got more into that, like the kind of the comedy mixed with the horror, but it was definitely unlike anything I've ever seen. Even the first one was different at that time. And that, I think Evil Dead 2, like you said, was 87. But just the idea that you got to see any of them, and I'm sure after you saw Evil Dead 2, you probably went back and discovered the other one, you know, and then Army of Darkness was in the 90s. But yeah, I just thought that was like cool that you got to see that at a young age. And you know, for our listeners, you know David Fly from Tsunami Experiment. That's our theme music. Everybody talks how cool the theme music is. And you're actually in a new band right now, the Super High-Tech Jet Fighters.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'd say, you know, notably different than Tsunami Experiment. I mean, in fact, Tsunami Experiment still, we've been getting back together and writing some new stuff. But as far as playing out and writing new music and recording, yeah, Super High-Tech Jet Fighters, been doing that with them for a few years. I joined them a little later. They were already an existing band, but yeah, it's great music. It's got like nice pop sensibility. It sort of has some grit and sort of punk rockish elements to it. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah, we've been doing a lot lately.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you guys know you can find Tsunami Experiment on all your streaming platforms. Same thing with Super High-Tech Jet Fighters. Check them out. And Dave was telling me earlier, got some shows coming up. You want to tell the people where they can check you guys out at?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, yeah, we definitely have two really cool shows coming. So, October 21st, we're playing with this band called Lone Wolf.
Okay.
Very cool. Like, you can call them sort of a post-punk kind of band, or sometimes I like to call it like grown-up punk music, if that makes sense, for those that are in the genre. Very cool band from the Netherlands.
Oh, that's cool.
We've seen them before. Actually, the guys played with them another time when they came through before I was in the band, but I was in the audience. And so that's at this place called Skid Row Garage in York.
Okay.
So I'm excited to go there. The guy who runs the place used to have like a really small, literally a garage, like in a back alley, and he used to do really cool shows there. But I believe that my understanding is that he had to shut that down, got, I don't know, in trouble with the city, but then he reopened a much nicer place. I've seen a couple pictures. It looks really cool. So yeah, I'm looking really, these folks from the Netherlands are super cool people.
That's awesome, man.
I think this one's very cool too. So the Englewood in Hershey, I'm sure a lot of people have been out there.
Beautiful. Yeah.
You've been out there?
Beautiful spot. Yeah. It's like an old barn. It's like awesome down in Hershey, right by the Hershey Med Center there. Yep. Yeah.
Very cool spot. So a buddy of ours is, that we've been playing in, he's been playing in other bands that we play with. He's been bartending down there, but he hooked us up with a show. So our band and this other band called Timmy's Creep Show, really, really good band, good friend of ours, our buddy from the bar there. He's in that band. So on November 2nd, so this is like post Halloween, so Halloween / Dia de los Muertos. So it's going to be sort of a Halloween, it's right up your alley, right? Costume contest and all that stuff. So it's I think it's a Thursday the 2nd of November. So right after Halloween. So that's going to be really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely check that out for our listeners. And like I said, Davey, I appreciate you taking time with me, and let's enjoy Evil Dead.
Heck yeah, guys. Keep it up. I'm loving the podcast. Keep it up.
Thanks, brother. And same thing with the bands. We'll catch you on the flip side,
later.
Brother. Yep. Later. Hey, this is Dave.
Matt.
And Zap.
And welcome to the Vintage Cinema Review,
where every week we review some of our favorite films from the past.
Hey, there ain't no late fees here.
Silence is golden. And be kind. Rewind.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
What's up?
Hey.
Is it a good evening?
It is. It's a spring summery hot as hell day.
It's
today.
hot as hell.
You know what else is hot? Is this movie we're about to
Is it?
We're about to talk about this evening.
In fact it is. In fact, this happens to be a fan favorite of our own Dave.
That's right.
Yeah, this is a Davey do.
A Davey special.
Yeah, Davey special.
It was my turn to pick, and this one came to mind because this is definitely one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Evil Dead, 1981.
81.
Yeah. 81 or 83. I guess you can look at it two ways. We'll get into that then. But
okay, yeah.
Interesting.
The Evil Dead seems like it just lives on too. There's so many. There was just one that came out on Netflix, something to the Evil Dead. It wasn't that good. But it's nothing to the original. The original is its own evil little dead monster.
Yeah, to me, the original three, that trilogy, are my favorites. I mean, anything that spawned after that, it's okay. I mean, I've checked some of the stuff out, but
they're gonna milk that for all it's worth.
Yeah, it's like anything, I guess. If you got a hit on your hands and people want more, that you'll just keep pumping them out.
For Christ's sake, there was like a dozen Halloween movies.
Yeah.
Well, no, the Evil Dead 2, they had its own little show for a while. It was short lived. It was like a season or two.
Oh, you're talking about Ash versus Evil Dead?
Ash versus Evil Dead, yeah.
So that was spawned off of fans coming after Sam Raimi. Like, hey, you need, they did a 2013 remake of this movie, and or I should say Evil Dead movie. And they were like, hey, why didn't you have Ash in it? We want more Ash. And he took that to heart and said, all right, well, I'll give you more Ash. And instead of doing another Evil Dead movie, he did this series, Ash versus Evil Dead. So that's
which wasn't too bad. Like, I think I've seen the first couple episodes of that. It was okay.
I don't know, man. I was going to save this for a fun fact, but I mean, if we're already diving into it.
Go for it, yeah.
I cannot believe the amount of material that has stemmed from this movie. I mean, there's a trilogy around it just to start, let alone comic books, TV shows. I mean, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff with this. I truly had no idea. Oh, fun fact. Only for this podcast did I watch this movie for the very first time in my entire life, not but a couple of days ago.
And that is a thing that happens with this podcast. You hear from a lot of people saying, you know what, like you made fun that I didn't see that movie, so I had to go back and see it.
Go watch it. Yeah.
I honestly thought this was like I don't know, the Ghoulies or some terrible B movie.
Yeah.
I just never. I don't want to say I avoided it, but
Right.
I just never thought to watch it. Let alone did I consider the depth that this is as a cult classic. And I mean, there is a significant cult that loves this movie.
Oh, absolutely. And this is a movie, I think the name is more known than the actual movie. Like Evil Dead, the brand, you say Evil Dead, people, I know that. But like Zap said, I think a lot of people that know the brand or know the character Ash and are familiar with it, but probably never actually saw the movie. But yeah, this one spawned it all.
Yeah, a fun factualization on Zap's fun fact about this having so many things that spawned off it. It was based on a Sam Raimi short film.
Yes.
It wasn't even supposed to be anything as big as it has gotten, and it just blew up from there.
Into this, yeah. So,
Well, good things come in small packages.
yep, that's
Yes.
my motto.
That's a motto for all.
Yep,
That's right. Low T.
that's it.
All right, let's get into
Is he
this. Let's
from,
get into this.
Low-
No, yeah,
that's-
Low T. He was in
Marvel or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I thought he was part of NWA. He was the Lost.
Oh yeah.
He was a Lost NWA guy. Low T.
That's right.
Wait. Was that the dwarf who was in that one? Who was the dwarf? The rapper?
Oh, Bushwick Bill.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, rest in peace, Bushwick.
Bushwick, the man. That's Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
No, Low T was not in that group.
Ice-T's brother.
That'd be a good one of those short, like what happened to Low T?
Right.
Like nobody knew about him. Like Low T started out as one of the members of one of the original founders of NWA.
That's right.
Got kicked out.
He quit the band. He got pissed when they took the picture. And
Yeah,
it
he
was
was-
only from everybody else's torso up.
Yeah, and then Low T started his own band, but they never got really big. And then he ended up, he was working like little jobs. And,
No pun intended.
Yeah, he was rapping in the subway, and he never made it, man. Poor Low T.
That happens.
Damn.
But this movie did happen. So Evil Dead, 1981. Running time on this, 85 minutes. Now, this movie was released as unrated. To avoid an X rating, they decided to just not have it rated. And I guess that affects how it's released, like to what theaters and all that. It wasn't a wide release initially.
Let's not forget. Now, we talked about this back in the day. Not back in the day, but certainly back in one of our previous podcasts. Now, back in the day, you had to take a movie and like if you made a movie, you had to go theater to theater to theater to theater, selling it.
Right.
Look, man, run this movie here, run this movie. You had a shit ton of independent theaters back then. Like now you got what, AMC or Eric or
There's two. There's like two main
whatever.
theaters.
But again, like back in the day, there were hundreds of independent theaters, and that's just how it went.
Right.
So yeah, you had to peddle that movie. So I'm glad to hear that they chose to go with the non-rated version or an unrated version.
Unrated, yeah.
To pawn this off, because I mean, otherwise, I don't know. Just watching this myself, I think this was borderline
X-rated.
Yeah,
It would have been X-rated, and they knew that, so they did unrated, and then basically let the hype build and the movie get distributed that way. So if as of 1990 it was rated NC-17, that was a new rating that they came out with around, I think it was around 1990. And like Zap said, this could have easily been X-rated for the violence.
The violence. Yeah.
It's over the top, but whatever. We'll
That's
get
like, yeah, the unrated or not rated. It's like on Tubi. A ton of those movies are like not rated.
not
You're like,
rated.
for what?
Yeah.
Just because they're like foreign.
Yeah.
They speak a different language.
Could be. There's so much on that we'll get into with the rating. It's insane. But so this was release date on this, like I was talking earlier, October 15th, 1981 at the Redford Theater. It was like a small release, I guess maybe a couple theaters outside of that. It wasn't until April 15th, 1983 that the whole United States, it was kind of released everywhere. So it took about 2 years for that to build up, gain momentum. There was a key player in this movie getting pushed, and we'll get into that later too. Really well-known person. Directed by Sam Raimi, written by Sam Raimi, and produced by Robert G. Tappert. Budget on this, $375,000. Box office, United States, 2.7 million estimated.
all right.
If you go worldwide, it's anywhere between like 4 or 5 million and 29 million.
Dang.
Those numbers aren't, if you look
Legit.
around online, there's a lot of just in between those numbers. I don't know why.
To start, the juice was worth the squeeze just in the U.S. alone. So I'll give it that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But once you start to get in that voodoo economics, the fuzzy math they call it, I don't know, man. This sounds like some voter fraud.
Yeah.
Some fake reporting here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the
How can you
numbers
skew between 4 million and 20 million?
Yeah, the numbers are very misconstrued.
Yeah.
It must be a currency translation problem.
Well, I know there was some controversy with this movie in some countries, and I don't know if maybe they're saying because it didn't release right away, and can they count that money? I don't know.
Are they talking like the yen or like marks or
Yeah. I mean,
the Guten Goblin?
Could be.
yeah, could have been any of that, but the movie definitely did well for what it cost. And since then, it's gone on to earn 10, 20 times that. So, I mean, long term, it's been a very big success. Filmed over about a 12-week period, and it wrapped up January of 1980. It was filmed in Marshall and Detroit, Michigan, parts of that. There were scenes in the basement of the cabin that were filmed in those areas. And then the actual cabin itself was in Morristown, Tennessee. And there was also some filming done in Knoxville. So between those two states and stuff. So that was the filming dates and locations. That's pretty much it for the budget and all that. So I'll turn it over to Zap for the pretty short cast.
Yeah. I mean, we only have 5 notables here.
Right.
So we start with Bruce Campbell as Ash Williams, Ellen Sandweiss as Cheryl Williams, Richard DeManencourt as Scott, Betsy Baker as Linda, and Teresa Tilley as Shelley. That's it.
That is a short cast.
That's it. Well, those that had
it. Yeah.
that was those that had speaking roles.
Speaking of
Yeah, we need. There's other little like cool little
There were at least
people in there.
I can recall at least 2 gentlemen standing alongside of the road who were waving their hands
Yep.
as they were driving by in the very beginning. Plus the truck driver
Yeah.
Truck driver Johnny.
in the very beginning who had the what was on the bumper of that truck? Lazy Mary.
Lazy Mary. I
There
wrote
you
that
go.
down because I looked that up. I couldn't really find much on that. I trying to take notice of little intricacies of the movie to see if I could find anything that, I mean, people watch this movie and pick it apart because it's such a beloved movie.
That's something that Sam Raimi may know or may have. You know,
what was the meaning of it?
or just something. Yeah, something for him, like an inside joke, maybe.
Yeah,
If you couldn't
maybe.
find anything on it,
Right.
yeah.
But yeah, that's curious.
He'll
I'd be
take
curious.
that to the grave.
Yep. So that's it for the cast. I guess we'll pass it over to Matt for the brief synopsis.
Yeah, this is like a cornucopia of synapses right here. Zap did a lot of work on these. He has some good ones.
Good.
But I might read like number 3. I'll read synapsis.
Hey
number
man,
3.
dealer's choice. Have at it.
Door number 3.
Look, man, you've been a busy guy. We're all in this together. We're just looking to help.
We're all in this together. That's from another movie. Or should I do the back of the original cover? What do you guys think?
Up to you, man.
Yeah, do the back of the
We'll do the
yeah,
back, the original backing of the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Evil Dead is designed to pull scream after scream from the base of your spine and from the depths of your soul. It is the tale of the supernatural forces which occupy the darkest force of a man's domain. Ever present, ever listening, the Evil Dead lie in wait for one of the ancient incantations that will give them license to possess the living. 5 vacationing college students unwittingly resurrect these incredible demons from their ancient slumber. Now there is no escape. The guilty must be punished. One by one, the students themselves are shockingly transformed into monsters whose own thirst for revenge becomes insatiable. There is only one way to stop them, through the act of bodily dismemberment. To survive this grueling terror, former friends and lovers combat each other until only one man remains. He must now defend himself long enough to discover the horrible secret of the Evil Dead, or die trying. Man, that was good.
That was a good
Yeah.
I like that.
That VHS cover
Yeah.
that was the right answer.
That was.
Man, I got to go change myself.
I'm telling you.
After that.
What was the part about friends and lovers?
I don't know, but it
Is that a
was
song or something?
Yeah. How can we be friends if we can't be
How
lovers?
can we be lovers if we can't be friends?
No, that's Michael Bolton.
Yeah.
Versus if we can't be, how can we be friends if we can't be lovers? That's a slow jam. I forget who did it.
Former friends and lovers combat each other. Oh, that sounds like the part of an actual verse. Former friends and lovers.
Perhaps whoever
Combats each other's.
perhaps whoever wrote that song was reading that synopsis.
Could be.
I mean, we could make this whole synopsis into a song, actually.
Would be.
Matt, you have the voice of an angel.
Thank you. That's why I wanted to be an angel in my other life.
You nailed it.
Thank you.
So I guess that's it for the synopsis, and it's time for Zap to steer us through the movie here.
Well, I'll do my best steering, but I'm going to need both of you to keep the oars in the water.
All right.
Honk, honk.
All right. So, as 5 students make their way to a cabin for a weekend getaway, all signs are already pointing to the bad idea of saving a few dollars by renting a cheap cabin. Upon their arrival, the cabin appears to have an eeriness about it. After a temporary bout of possession by Ash's artistic girlfriend and a trip into the cabin's spooky cellar, a reel-to-reel tape recorder, an ancient dagger, and a curious book are discovered.
I like how you said spooky.
That
That was good.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Cabin with the spooky little podcast like us.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool song. But the Cabin in the Woods theme, I think that's always classic. That's always but is this like the actual start of that? Like there were so many other there's so many other horror movies where, you know, you have the kids, college, vacationing, high school, and they're going off to the cabin.
I mean, look at Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
1980 classic.
Yeah, that would have been right before this. So that, you know, but this is definitely for me, like for like a cabin based horror movie, you know, the one that I think of right away. I don't know of anything in the 70s that was maybe not as well known that kind of dealt with that. But couple things that made me laugh, I wrote a couple notes. Those big ass keys.
Yeah.
That, I mean, anytime, have you ever known big keys like that to lead to anything good?
Anything good.
Usually you're unlocking like.
Well, they are called a skeleton key, aren't
yes,
they?
Yeah. And to me, that just made me laugh. I saw Zap had written here about the porch swing.
Yeah, so that was interesting to watch the porch, the swinging as they arrive at the cabin.
Right.
And then as soon as they touch the keys to the door, it stops.
Yeah.
Absolutely just stops.
Yeah, I mean, the vibes were bad from the time they got there. I mean, almost getting run off the road.
Almost run off the road, almost crushing the bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, the tire falls through the damn wood on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting, and I should say very fortunate for them, as you look up from under the bridge, which was some of the most, I don't know if it was intentional or just whatever, just bad special effects, but you could see the steel beams in the bridge, which is there, of course.
Right.
And as the car falls, as the tire pokes through, they show from underneath the wood falling. They showed 2 beams of wood that were actually attached on the opposite side of the steels, like the part that's facing down. So it's not supporting anything. Like it was clearly meant to fall.
Yeah, like it was set up that way.
Right.
I got to go back and look at that.
But like you guys are saying, just bad signs going in. But they don't see that. They're just ready to party.
Hell yeah.
Like have some fun.
They got a cheap cabin.
They're not looking for.
What do you guys think about the?
Did they get that on Zillow?
They're
or something?
drinking.
Was that an
They're drinking
Airbnb?
moonshine on the way there.
Right.
Like, they're drinking out of mason jars.
Oh yeah, I did notice that too.
Hell yeah.
What do you guys think about the odd number, the 5? Like instead of just two couples, you know what I mean? There's just that extra girl there.
That's how it happens a lot in movies. Remember, you always have the
like the third
wheel.
Yeah.
Because they're there for something. They're always the one that usually discovers the one person getting murdered and they freak out. They're usually the third one killed. From what I, you know what I mean?
I can see that.
They should be the first one that you just give up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you're
It's the throwaway.
Yeah.
Like somebody's got to die. And then the 2 couples would stay together.
right. And then you still got your
It's
partner.
like a token third on the 5.
Right.
Token.
Yeah. But that cabin was pretty shitty looking.
It was. And as we talk about these cabins, that was a really good and like older movies that had come before.
Mm-hmm.
Like to make that cabin, I think of just a great mashup of, since we mentioned it, a Friday the 13th cabin at Camp Crystal Lake, mashed up with something from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
Just because you had all of those chicken bones and heads and things hanging down or not down in one of the spare rooms.
Yeah, the shed that they had, that extra, I don't know, was that an extra room or like a shed? I think it was a shed maybe or something outside where the bones were hanging and the chains and all that. And I actually compared it to our boy Ed Gein.
There you go.
And then there's
Yeah, it looks like his crib,
and there's something,
but he cleaned it up.
and that makes sense that you would say Chainsaw Massacre because that's based on Ed Gein and it's all that same stuff. And then there's something later on that would remind me even more of Ed Gein, and I didn't really think about it until I started breaking this movie down. So yeah, that Shed, Texas Chainsaw, Ed Gein, all that stuff, and I definitely drew that comparison.
It also reminded me of the cabin from what's the one where they all got that flesh-eating disease?
Oh, Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever. Kind of like the exact same style.
That's a Spike Lee joint.
No,
that
that's
was,
Jungle. That's El Jungle Fever.
That's Jungle Fever.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Cabin Fever was Eli Roth, who's I know a big fan of all these old school horror
I
movies.
thought you were going to say our podcast.
He's a big fan. I wish. Maybe he is. Maybe he'll listen to this. Yeah.
Come on, Eli.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing I wanted to point out. I love this in these old movies. Like I said, I'm just trying to pick out little stupid little things I noticed there. Glass condiments, the ketchup bottles, glass, all that shit. So I'm thinking back to those times and stuff. And like, it's just funny to see that in old movies and stuff like that.
They even sound better on the scenes where you're like running away instead of like plastic falling onto the floor. That good glass sound.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
So this movie, and as we're about to go into our next segment here, this is so classic. Like they make fun of it on commercials now. Like make poor decisions, and like to see the kids like hide out in the place where chainsaws are hanging from the whatever.
Right.
Instead of getting in the running car and driving away. So these kids are sitting there, and by kids, they're college students.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're sitting there eating their dinner, and all of a sudden, the basement or the cellar door blows open. Right. Sure, that's a good idea to just go down there. Like this thing's been rattling, and it all of a sudden opens up.
You know, it would have been cool if the door flew open and they said, "Hey guys, can you wrap it up?"
Right.
That would have been cool.
Oh, too soon. She's just looking out.
I know.
That's too soon.
Yeah, but yeah. That anything with a basement, if something like that happens, is not normally good.
So down in that basement, they find a tape recorder, an ancient dagger, and that book. Now the book was the same book that Cheryl had been. So when Cheryl was possessed, she was sitting there drawing the clock, sketching the clock. And then she gets temporarily possessed or whatever, just whatever.
Right.
And she starts drawing that weird book.
Right.
So they pull that book out. I tell you all that, or I remind you of all that. So when they're down there, I mean, certainly everyone's noticed that. I don't know if it was a homage, but the Hills Have Eyes poster, hanging on the wall down there.
Yeah, that was there's a story behind that.
Oh, okay.
Is that a fun fact?
It's a fun fact. Yeah, we can. You want it now?
No, man, just pointing it out.
Okay,
I'm glad I noticed it.
Yeah, definitely wait till the fun facts because there's a story behind that.
Yes,
there definitely was a little portion, like Zap's saying, you could see just enough. You could see like Av eyes or something, like it was cut and ripped, almost like it was ripped off the wall. And it's a big ass basement for a cabin that size.
Sure.
And that makes sense because they filmed that part in another.
A lot of it, in the basement.
It was in another state. So they're filming that basement. They're in Michigan and the cabin's in Tennessee. But yeah, a lot of creepy shit going on in that basement.
That is a creepy cellar. All right. All right. Moving along. The group decides to play the reel-to-reel recording, which, unbeknownst to them, includes an incantation meant to summon demons. In true 80s slasher fashion, one of the five is picked off, possessed by a demon from outside the cabin. Unable to drive back to town due to a bridge outage, the remaining group of four inevitably falls prey to their demonically possessed friend, whom, after a scuffle and a stabbing wound with a pencil, they're eventually able to lock in the cellar from whence the recording, the dagger, and the book came.
Yeah, so that book is bound in human flesh.
The Book of the Dead.
The Book of the Dead. And that's where I didn't even really think about that, but that part earlier, talking about Ed Gein and Texas Chainsaw, is
with the
very
leather,
similar.
leather face type thing.
Yep. But that scene where that girl stabs
the pencil stab
into the ankle.
And that was just like brutal. Like,
oh my God. Yeah.
Even though the ankle looks so fake.
Sure.
It's these early 80s.
Well, the early. Budget. Yeah.
It was a drawn out stabbing scene though. So it wasn't like, hit and run, hit and pull the pencil out and keep going. I mean, that pencil got just jammed and she just jerking it around and moving. I mean, that was a long puncture.
Big time.
Who was the guy that did those effects? Does it say? Do we have him that did the gore? And I know he's the one that does like a ton of them.
Well, no,
back in the 80s,
you're
right?
thinking of Tom Savini, but he didn't do any work on that I know of. But I think you're thinking of Tom Savini.
Yes, the guy with the mustache.
Yes,
that guy.
I don't know if they had the money for him. I don't know how much he cost back then, but I don't know that I don't think he was involved in this. But don't quote me on that.
Okay, but I know that he's classic in the movie industry with.
He's one of the best.
His effects, yeah.
But that too was creepy, and it's still like I think a great scene where they're flipping the cards, and the girl is like, pretending that she knows the numbers. Go ahead, Zach.
Was she pretending? Because she was working.
When the two girls were there, they were messing with each other.
Oh, trying to guess what the next card was.
And she was messing with her, like, "Oh, you got them right," but she really didn't.
It's like Ghostbusters,
right? But then the girl's facing the window, and she's going 8 of diamonds. You know what I mean? Just on and on, and it was to me like that's like just like a cool ass scene. I just remember the first time that I watched that movie. That scene got me. I was like, it was like cool as shit.
Yeah.
Put you on edge and everything else.
I mean, there's some really clever stuff that was done with this. I mean, so the fact that they brought that recording upstairs and they're playing it, that recording was done by an archaeologist who'd found that Book of the Dead. Mm-hmm. And he's just reading the book, just thinking, oh, okay, man, I can read this. I can interpret this. I can speak, Sumeric or whatever the language is. And all of a sudden, he's able to, or not able to, he unwittingly releases those demons, which I'm guessing was way back when, because I mean, that recording, he's talking about his wife and man, she's officially possessed, man. I got to kill this broad,
right?
All that other stuff. So dude, that sucks. Mm-hmm. Man, I thought I was just coming to a cabin. I didn't know I was going to, just play a tape and all of a sudden demons are coming out.
Right.
I agree with Zap about which makes these movies, especially the older horror types, the cleverness, I think, is what makes them timeless.
Sure.
Just from the way that they're done, like you can still look at it and be like, and pick things up. Like you said, have to go back and check that part out because you miss a lot of shit.
Oh, there's a ton. I mean, I've seen this movie probably at least 15, 20 times.
Okay.
This time I really sat down and tried to study it and pick up on little things that I probably casually wouldn't really worry about. And I know there's millions of other people that watch this movie and break it down.
Dave's like a quarterback with his playbook.
Right.
Like,
I'm watching game film and whatever else like that. I'm like, because this is one of I feel like I should be well prepared for this movie, but that scene in particular, it gets me every time. I love it. What was I going to say now? I forget because I got thrown off track with that. I wanted to ask you guys about something with it. Shit.
Was it about the scene? So this is the girl who gets possessed is Cheryl, who's Ash's girlfriend. Mm-hmm. She's the first one. And this is, again, the one that was drawing earlier and then draws the book, whatever.
Book of the Dead we were talking about.
She makes her way to the woods. Mm-hmm. And in the woods, that's where she's just attacked by these trees, like a whomping willow at Hogwarts. Dude, she's not just attacked, though. Like, it's clearly insinuated that she was raped.
Right.
But it is clearly insinuated that branch made its way right into the holiest of holies.
But that actually wasn't Ash's girlfriend. That was the third wheel.
Third wheel lady.
That got raped and all that and then went out. She was the first one to get possessed. Ash's girlfriend was the one that got stabbed in the foot.
Shit, you're right. That's right. That's right.
She was the pencil to the ankle.
She got the pencil on the ankle. But that girl, the one that went out, that scene there, I think, was the one scene that made this movie, not to mention the violence, but that scene was, I think, the one that kind of pushed the ratings and everything on that. Because it is kind of, do
they even do, scene. Is the violence like a thing anymore with the ratings? I don't think you really get the NC-17s or anything for the violence anymore.
No, man, because there's some seriously ridiculously violent shit out there.
I mean, John Wick, I would say, is more violent.
That would be an X rating or an NC-17, and that's just a straight R.
And those look more realistic than a lot of this stuff. But that's what I wonder for this back in 1983. Let's just say when most people were seeing this movie. Did it seem real to them? I mean, or did they look at these effects and go, "Oh, that's pretty bad. It doesn't even look real."
Did you guys read this? Since I mean, this isn't on the subject. I'm going off topic for a second.
All right, we're on two wheels here.
But he said the John Wick thing. Did you read where they said that's actually Neo from the Matrix if he took the other pill?
No,
that's an interesting concept.
That is, yeah. That's wild. I never heard of that one, but
they said it's actually Neo is John Wick, but that's when he refused. He took the other pill and
he became John Wick. Could be. Interesting.
I read
theory.
that the other day. I was reading the stuff on movie trivia. And they were showing like these weird facts.
That doesn't make sense.
That's what I read.
No, I get it. I'm just not. I'm sorry. It's not that you don't make sense. It's, and maybe I'm wrong, but you got red pill, blue pill. One pill makes you wake up, and you're no longer
in the Matrix or whatever.
In the Matrix, or believing in the Matrix. Like you spit out of the watery tube and all of that shit. The other pill makes you stay in the Matrix. So if he didn't take the other pill to stay in the Matrix, he would have just been a software developer. He would have remained the software developer.
Well, then maybe he didn't. They're saying whatever. He took the other pill, or maybe he didn't take the pill, but that's who became John Wick, was Neo.
He stayed in there and gained
maybe
whatever.
powers or
Yeah.
whatever.
I don't know. It's what I read.
It's thought-provoking.
Became the one.
I feel provoked. It's provocative.
They also said the Home Alone kid, like after his parents left him twice, he got all crazy and he turned into the dude from Saw.
There's all kind of fan
Yeah,
theories.
man. There's
Yeah.
theory. It's crazy.
That is wild.
Like the kid from the Wonder Years was actually Marilyn
Marilyn
Manson.
Manson, yeah. Could be.
Interesting.
That is
Very
wild.
interesting.
Yeah, you guys check that out on the interweb. Some cool
have to check that out.
movie stuff.
So we were talking about the bridge earlier.
Oh,
So not only was that bridge out, I mean, it was out.
All messed up.
You're
yeah.
talking twisted steel. Like it's one thing for those wooden beams to break. I get that.
Right.
But that steel was twisted. Like there is zero chance.
And you got to love that scene, and it's in every horror movie. She's like, get me out of here. Take me into town. And Ash is like, all right, calm down. I'll take you into town. They go out, and the car won't start.
Yeah.
Car won't start.
Of course.
Like, oh, here we go. But then it starts.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, okay, maybe they will get out of there. And then, like Zap said, they get to the bridge, and no dice, right? They
No
can't get
dice.
out of time.
But even the car not starting, like you get the group together and just, walk out.
Right. Just go out, to the main road.
Yeah, let's
You
walk
figure
the
it's
main
gotta-
road out to wherever we need to go.
There's strength in numbers.
Yep.
Traveling packs.
In the middle of the night, they're out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm sure you're not, like, I didn't see many street lights or anything out there. It'd probably be really hard to find your way.
There was
No, but you stay on the
zero
road.
light.
There's flashlights. I mean,
Yeah. Back then, it was all like them old school lanterns. With
not in the 80s. There's still flashlights.
No, the dude, when he went in the basement.
True, he did have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
you're right.
That was an actual fire burning lantern.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's the other thing. Like, to me, these, like, I tried to watch just for shits and giggles. I said, let me watch this new Evil Dead Rise or whatever. 2023, it came out. And I tried to watch it, and I just can't get into it. To me, there's something about the way these movies back then are filmed and the feel and everything else like that. Even though you could say these special effects are better and whatever else, but like there's just something about these movies and the suspense and just the way it makes you feel. And it's probably just a nostalgic thing.
You're just nostalgic,
guess.
a purist when it comes to the horror movies.
Yeah. It's the way it should be.
Yep.
It worked then. Why wouldn't it work now? All right. With one member possessed and locked in the cellar, and another resting from a stab wound to her ankle, the third female of the group is attacked and possessed by an unseen demon coming once again from outside the cabin. Fear not. After a scuffle with the guys, it's nothing a few blows with an axe and total dismemberment won't solve. After a feeble attempt by one of the guys to escape through the woods on his own, after the stab wound victim becoming possessed by what is now the third demon in this saga, and after decapitating his own girlfriend, all that remains are the woman who'd been possessed first, the now dead guy who'd tried to make it on his own into town, and the hero of this story, Ash, who's just buried his own girlfriend.
With no head.
Yeah. That's what that guy was like,
He buried her with the head.
Oh, that's right.
He buried her with the head.
That's what that guy's like, you know what? Like, it's your girlfriend. You deal with it. Like, my girl's already gone, and, I'm out of here.
So, again, classic 80s poor choices.
Right.
Forget it. You guys can stay here. I'm going into town.
Right. Don't go
alone
together.
in the woods. and P.S., he was gone for like a minute, by the way.
Right.
Okay, so in reality, it was really 2 minutes. But man, he got jacked up in that forest.
Oh, yeah. It didn't take long. Did not take long at all, but.
Yeah, nobody's ever like in the cities.
No, well, I saw a very slick, well-made horror movie that is newer, and I really, really enjoyed. It's called Barbarian.
Oh,
and
Never heard of it.
it was something that I heard about. You know, my son actually told me, he's like, Dad, you got to watch Barbarian. I heard it's like really, really good and this and that. That takes place in Detroit, in the city.
Oh, cool.
But they use, you know how in Detroit, neighborhoods are basically nobody living there.
Right.
Is this the one with the one nice house? And it was that guy that was blind?
It's like a bed, not a Airbnb. And this Airbnb is in the middle of like this neighborhood where nobody lives.
It's
and
just
the
one
cops,
nice house.
And the cops don't want to even go there.
Wow.
So this girl ends up there. And because of that area being kind of distressed and nobody wants to go there, it's almost like you're out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, but you're in Detroit city limits or whatever. Great movie. A lot of backstory to that. A lot of other shit that goes on.
Barbarian.
But
was that with the blind cop, or is that a different one?
There's no blind cop.
It was
that
the guy that's living there already. When she gets there, right? Wasn't there a guy there?
The guy from that plays the clown in It is in it.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name?
Tim Curry?
No. The newer.
I think that was Rocky Horror Picture Show.
He was the original Pennywise.
The Swedish guy that his brother was in True Blood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
The
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård, thank
Yeah.
you. I was going to say the father's in everything.
Yes. He's there. The girl shows up and he's like, oh, well, I rented
I got this place too.
She rented
Yeah,
blah,
I
blah,
saw
blah.
that.
Great movie. This is about Evil Dead, but that's
very cool.
That you just making that comment made me think I don't want to forget that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So what is the story with that dagger? So in this segment here,
of Evil Dead, you talking about?
Yeah. So Shelley's the one that got possessed. She's standing there looking out the window. Again, at this point, the first chick's dead, dismembered and buried. The second chick is the one that got stabbed in the ankle. She's laying or doing whatever. And now this third chick had got possessed. Demon crashes through the window. So as she's scuffling with, trying to, she's fighting with Scott and Ash at the same time.
Right.
She gets stabbed with the dagger. And I mean, blood's coming out of the mouth of the back of the dagger, the skull looking thing.
Yeah.
Yet it did nothing to hinder. I don't want to say nothing, but it sure as hell didn't kill that
Finish
thing.
her, yeah.
So what's the point of that dagger? What's it do?
I think that was called like the Kandarian dagger or something like that. You didn't see it till Evil Dead 2.
So Kandarian dagger.
Yeah, Kandarian dagger.
And that's the John that they stab and the blood comes out of the mouth, which is at the hilt of the, okay. All right.
Yeah, but that doesn't exist though, because we don't talk about.
It's not there yet, but it does exist. It is in the movie. They just don't really explain it, but I think it's later on. Evil Dead 2, maybe the name comes up. But when he found the Book of the Dead, it was sitting next to the Book of the Dead. And, so that's kind of where that came from, but they don't really explain it. So you wouldn't know watching the first one. And I actually forgot about that.
Maybe it was a letter opener.
It might have been. It's a badass looking one.
Yeah, man. Then you stab the mailman.
It has like a spine look to it. Almost like it's like it's pretty wild looking.
By spine, you're talking bone.
Right.
They have shit like that at the Third and Charles store. I don't know if you guys ever been there.
Oh yeah,
my kids love that place. But they have they have
Second and Charles,
Third and Charles, Fourth and
I didn't know if there's
Fourth and Walnut,
Fourth and Inches.
Yeah, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But they have like Book of the Dead type like notebooks and shit in
That's
there.
cool.
They have like weird letter opener, like you said, these like little stabbing tools that are actually like letter openers.
That's awesome.
They got like old like records and shit in there. It's a cool place to visit if anybody sees one.
Yeah, put the needle on the record.
If you have the means, I highly recommend it.
So Linda and Cheryl are at this point still around. And at this point now, the demons are just messing with Ash because the other dude died.
Right.
Scott is as dead as fried chicken at this point. Ash remains, and there's the two chicks. So they're not just messing with him, saying, "Oh, we're okay. Come on, help me out. It's all right. Please let me out of the cellar."
Yeah,
number
I'm back
one.
to normal now. Yeah,
And the other one is his girlfriend that he was gonna blow her head off with a shotgun. But she
they can flip back to looking normal.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm back here now.
Now, I know we were talking about this at one point earlier, Dave, but this is part of that over the top, almost slapstick humor so after they were normal for a second and they go back to being demons, like the perpetual laughing and giggling.
Oh, that girl.
That was just too much.
Yeah.
It was just, it made it so unbelievable.
Right.
To the extent of, this is unbelievable if it's supposed to be a horror movie.
Right. It's almost like, I know what you
That
mean.
might have been purposeful though to make it so.
So for sure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So Dave and I were talking about how the approach to this, Raimi's approach to this was, sure, I want a horror movie, but I'm going to throw in, Raimi happened to be a big fan of the Three Stooges.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to throw some slapstick stuff in there to keep it, for lack of a better word, light.
Mm-hmm. Almost it's so gory and over the top. Let me just throw in a little bit of comic relief or parts to, and it definitely has. And I was telling Zap, as these movies progress, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, they get more and more like comical, more comedy.
Yeah, like the old lady
like
in the store and stuff like that, and the sporting goods section. And,
yes.
Yeah.
I would say Evil Dead of all of them is the one that's more, I would say, I don't even want to say it's scary, but there's scenes in it that are like intense and I would say a little scary, maybe
like
not now
over the top scary.
Right.
So back then where it's the gore factor more than the like the demonic scare thing.
Right.
But that laughing, yeah, because like my wife was in the room. I made her watch this movie in the past, obviously, because I've had it for years and loved the movie and tortured her with watching it. But she was like, I can't take that laughing. I gotta get out of the room, because she was in and out of the room while I was watching it.
No doubt.
And I know what you're saying though. It was almost over the top where it was like annoying.
So at this point, Cheryl is still in the cellar. Linda is Ash's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a scuffle and he ends up stabbing her with the dagger.
Mm-hmm.
And he just assumes she's dead because she's not moving.
Right.
So he ends up burying her. She reanimates. And then that's where he decapitates her.
Mm-hmm.
Head is gone. Did anyone notice the use of the flat garden spade versus a digging shovel? So I'm saying like the shovel he used to not only decapitate this broad, but apparently the shovel he had used to dig a hole is a
flat blade.
A flat blade.
Like
a
you
flat spade.
like you would use the
Edging.
edge.
It's an edging blade.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Edging, one of our terms.
One of our terms.
Ah.
So yeah, for him to dig a hole to put a body in with that flat spade,
Yeah.
dude,
Some
you're
time.
talking hours.
Yeah.
Hours.
That's a lot of work.
It's dedication.
I didn't notice that. I
He
didn't
was
even
in
take
it.
notice of that.
Just
Yeah.
little subtleties. Look,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of landscaping and outdoorsy stuff and whatever. So I see something like that, I'm thinking, damn,
Yeah.
like somebody borrowed somebody's shovel. Basically, hey man, you got a shovel?
Yeah, we need it for the movie.
Did you see any of the shovels like that being used today, where your gardeners were out there working?
No, I cut my own. I cut my own beds.
Okay.
The gardeners I had today were doing some of the work that there's no way in hell that I'm doing in 100-degree weather.
Hell no.
Yes.
No way.
Zap even said the gardeners were fully dressed with long sleeves and long pants.
Bruh, I am not cutting 12-foot high hedges. No way.
No.
That's why we work. That's why we do this podcast.
All right, that's right.
Especially after watching this movie, they might come alive. Them hedges.
That's
Come
true.
at you. They did in this movie.
You don't need to be gang raped by some, what do you call them? What are those hedges called?
Use.
Yews.
YEW.
Yeah, you don't need them yews all up in your junk.
So now back at the cabin, Ash discovers the cellar door has been opened and finds quite an unsettling sight in the cellar below. Returning upstairs, we find our last remaining hero amidst a 2-on-1 battle against Cheryl and the now reanimated corpse of his buddy, Scott. In true climactic fashion, Ash throws the ancient book into the fire. In an instant, the two demonically possessed bodies of Cheryl and Scott decompose and dissolve, and in their finality, large demonic arms emerge from the corpses, causing them to explode. As dawn comes the next morning, Ash departs the cabin. Within seconds, an unseen demon speeds its way through the woods and through the cabin to an unsuspecting Ash standing outside, who cries in horror as he is attacked as the film abruptly ends.
Yeah. That scene, that how they filmed that, and they did that in the beginning, like when they were going over the water and
through
stuff
the
like
swamp,
that.
yeah.
That was all like Sam Raimi doing that, holding
the camera.
Yeah.
So I saw that in the swamp, and I was thinking that would have had to been a hell of a boom arm. It couldn't have been somebody walking through the swamp, only because you would have seen the ripples from their body walking through the water going ahead of the camera.
Well, he had, they were in like he was in a rubber boat, and then they actually said he was in a rubber boat, and I think Bruce Campbell was pushing the boat through the water, and then he was filming it as they were going. But then the scenes where
that makes sense.
where they're on land was just him running through the woods, like with the camera, and and all that. But that whole scene in the beginning was cool. They actually tried to mimic that in the new one. I just started. I watched 10 minutes of it. Yeah, like that's something that you remember from these movies. And they brought it back for part 2, and they brought it back for Army of Darkness. That camera moving like that.
So I'm curious as to whether it was more of that attempt at over the top, almost a slapstick effect, or if it was meant for the horror aspect, the true horror aspect. So when Ash is down in the basement, when he finds that the door's blown open, he's looking for Cheryl to kill her. Blood is coming, and I mean from everywhere.
Down through, yeah.
The walls are seeping. The electrical sockets are seeping. Water's going into blood's going into the light bulb. It's coming out of the drainage pipe. Like, it's everywhere, and he gets covered in it, and I mean covered in it.
Yeah, it was way over the top. Now, there was, we talked about earlier about Sam Raimi's love of, it came up, I don't know if we actually discussed it, but Sam Raimi being a Three Stooges fan. So there was an episode of Three Stooges where that happened with flooding with water, where the water came down through, filled up a light bulb and all that. And he decided to do that in this movie, but instead of water, have it be blood. So that's why there's that scene with just the over the top blood filling up the light bulb. It was kind of an ode, I guess, to his love of the Three Stooges.
Ode to the Stooges.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never had water fill a light bulb. I have had water fill a light fixture.
Yeah.
But not a light bulb.
Yeah, I don't know if that'd even be possible.
No, it's a sealed bulb.
Sealed bulb, yeah. I don't know if you could do that, but
it's completely impossible.
Bulb is sealed.
Yeah. But yeah, for damn sure, I've had water from a second story seep into a hanging fixture below, just because.
Yeah, that could happen.
For damn sure, it can happen.
It's rounded and
it's gonna
fixture.
fill up.
It's bulbous.
Yes,
yeah,
but it is not sealed.
Not to mention that talking about that basement and when they were showing those scenes, the HVAC systems and the pipes were way overkill for a cabin like that.
So thank you, because I was amazed that place even had electricity,
right?
Let alone running water. So yeah, brah, that was way too much drainage for a place like that.
Duct work and all that. Yeah.
I'm surprised
they
it
had
didn't
to put
just go
something in there
straight into the ground, right?
Right.
But all right, so they suspended disbelief. Not bad. They had me believing it.
Yeah.
So this book, the archaeologist in his readings, he identifies the book as the Naturam de Monto. That's what he called it in his, in his recording.
Right. You
had mentioned when we were talking earlier today, you would use the term Necronomicon.
Yeah, Book of the Dead, Necronomicon.
So
I think it's a term. I think they maybe used that later in like Evil Dead 2 or.
Yeah, I think that's why they called it the Necronomicon or the Book of the Dead.
Book of the Dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did he call him? Nocturum Night.
The Naturam de Monto, Naturom space DEMONTO.
What is it, like Demented Night? Night of the Demented?
Of a demonic nature. Naturam de Monto.
Dave has the fun fact, I think, behind that.
Well, I'm just saying about some of that language and stuff that when we get here into the fun facts. Speaking of which, fun facts. All right. I guess it's about that time.
It never gets more fun than that.
That's so fun.
That brings the ha-ha.
Yeah. It makes us laugh here in the basement.
It does.
So I got a lot of fun facts on this.
I would expect you would. This is one of your personal faves.
We're talking about 6 pages of fun facts.
God damn.
Dave got book facts.
Yeah. I got the Necronomicon.
Ooh.
Necronomicon.
Yeah. I'm sure I can come up with a name. Just got to think about this for anyway. But we were talking about him loving the Three Stooges and stuff and all that and being a fan of that. And he actually coined a term, Sam Raimi, we're talking about, called fake shemps. And that was an ode for his love of the Three Stooges. In this movie,
Shemp being a character
from the Three Stooges. When they were filming this movie, there were scenes that had to be reshot or they added, and some of these actors and actresses weren't available, so they had to use other people to like fill in. He himself, Sam Raimi, in the one scene, the girl in the car, is actually Sam Raimi in the car.
One of the 3 girls in the car.
Yeah. And there were a lot of the scenes with the demons and stuff are like other people, people that are on the
cast and crew type.
Yeah, that
friends,
are just
family.
in makeup and
Sure.
stuff. That
if you're
are,
wearing a mask, nobody
in.
knows who the hell you are.
There's scenes where Scott is walking and you see his feet but it's not really Scott. It's somebody else walking. They just film him from the, he had to use all these different people to fill in to film these scenes. They weren't available. And he came up with the term fake Shems. And Zap and I were talking actually before that, or before we started recording, that that happened on Back to the Future. They couldn't get Crispin Glover to, I guess, do the second movie or whatever. So they used parts of him from the other movies and then kind of shot scenes different ways. And with makeup, like in Back to the Future 2, he was older. So you like latex and all that. So it wasn't really him, I guess. And he sued him
for using his likeness.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm not in the movie, and you're basically misleading people, I guess.
And that's true. And it's easy to do that. Now, granted, Crispin Glover is in fact credited in Back to the Future 2, but it's parenthetically credited, and it clearly reads stock footage.
Oh, okay.
Instead, there is, for damn sure, somebody who is not Crispin Glover, who plays like when they're in the house, right? And he's hanging upside down because he threw his back out.
Yes.
Well, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that is for damn sure not Crispin Glover.
Okay.
Some other John.
Right. So one other fun fact here that we talked about earlier, Matt mentioned at the very beginning, that short film that he created was called Within the Woods. All right. So Sam Raimi, and he was 20 years old basically when this movie came, Evil Dead, when they were filming and all that. But they had made a movie to kind of fund this called Within the Woods. It was a 30-minute movie that they made over a 3-day weekend.
Cost $1,600.
$1,600 budget.
Dang.
Right? And they took the movie and screened it for whoever would watch it to try to raise money and get people to invest. So they were able to come up with between 85 and 90,000. I heard.
Didn't they run it with a Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I don't know about that.
I read that. It's actually in a little article. They said they would run it with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And
Like
it sparked interest. Yeah, that would be the opening little 30-minute film before Rocky Horror.
Look at that. We were just talking about Tim Curry.
Tim Curry, yep. Huh. I did read, I shouldn't say I did read this, but I heard this in an interview with Bruce Campbell that he said there was hundreds of screenings of this movie that they played for people like investors to try to get people to invest. One of which was in the detergent aisle of a grocery store. They tried to get interest in it, and the people weren't interested. But out of those hundreds of people, they got some people because they were able to raise between 85 and 90,000.
That's awesome. That's crowdsourcing before there was such a thing as crowdsourcing. And that's before them internets. I mean, these guys were pounding the pavement, bruh.
Right.
But like Dave was saying with like us with the podcast, like the slow burn type thing.
Slow burn.
We have like opportunity to get out there. Like you said, going down the street to that one little restaurant down there. Right. There's going to different events. That's how you like build. You build from there.
For sure.
You gain a fan here, you gain a fan there.
And then word spreads, and it's like fire, man.
Right.
If you build it, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep, and that's how it works. Do you guys got anything?
Oh, I got one. So it was what I thought was supposed to be significant in the movie because there was so much focus on it, was the magnifying glass necklace that Ash had given to his girlfriend. So, I mean, it was a part in the movie that, it was significant that he give this to her, and it made its way through the whole movie. Hell, he used that necklace as he's being dragged in that final scene, as he's being dragged away or dragged somewhere. He uses that basically as a hooking mechanism to grab the book as he's being drugged.
Right.
And of course, he then grabs the book as he's being drugged across the floor and throws it in the fire. So, did a little digging. The necklace's original purpose in the climax of that movie was for the morning sun to come in through the cabin's window, shine through that magnifying glass insert, and set that Book of the Dead on fire from across the room. And that was actually cut just because of, that would have cost money. That's a special effect. Yeah. That would have cost money. That was it.
Yep.
So that thing was, again, there was a whole intent and purpose for it, and it just died. It was done.
Did you guys know that they actually lost that too during filming?
I did that. I did read that. They had purchased a
gold one.
They had the backup one was gold, actual gold, and they had to paint it,
paint it.
That silver color, yeah.
And if you look at her when she's holding it in her hand, you can see the paint come off on one of her fingers.
That's fantastic.
Spray paint.
They didn't cut that.
No, you can see it. Like if you look close enough. on on a good
Yeah,
copy.
okay.
This unfortunately, this DVD copy I have is from, I was telling Zap, I bought this. This is the first DVD I bought back, and this would have been in 2000, I believe. I got this DVD.
That's not even that long ago.
It's in full 23 years. It's full frame presentation, no widescreen back then, and it's
That covers your whole TV.
yeah, like it's a square in the middle. Yep. But I don't know. I couldn't really see it on there, but on a nicer version, you could probably pick up the paint. So
Speaking of, I got to do one more thing on this, that necklace. So I had seen something very similar to that necklace, if not the exact same. And I'm curious as to whether it is in fact this. So that necklace, or that pendant at the end of the necklace, if my supposition is correct, that's actually a decade from the rosary. So we Catholics, and I've seen this.
yeah.
So it's essentially a ring that if you're just hanging out in church before mass or whatever, you can
Count.
You can quickly rifle through a decade of Hail Marys with this ring, and that is a thing.
That's extra.
Dude.
Right.
So look, man, my mom makes rosaries, for crying out loud. I know
Does she
all
make the
there's-
rosary ring?
You can't make the rosary ring. I mean, unless she's got a metal press, which she
Right.
does not.
Okay.
So
Well, Christmas is coming.
Yeah, you never know.
So yeah, man, she knows all there is to know and has everything there is to have about rosaries. And I've seen do dozens of these things. That I want to dig deeper. And I may have to mailbag myself on that.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure that's a a religious thing, saying a rosary, to say a decade of Hail Marys.
That'd be interesting. I'd like to see that or find out about that.
Tell you what, I will grab one. Next time I go see Mims, I'll grab one and bring it in, and then you can take a look at that and tell me if I'm just way off.
Right. Yeah. I'd like to check it out.
But if you watch that movie, it is, again, if you look at that little John, if you see that there's in fact 10 little
things on
knobbies around the end of it,
That's what it is.
then I'm right.
That's a rosary 10.
Yeah.
Cool.
Matt, what you got?
That Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi were such good friends. I guess Sam was running into some trouble financially with this movie. And Bruce, being a friend of his, was like, look, man, I have a home in northern Michigan. It's my parents' crib.
Yes.
We can put it up for some collateral
To get the money there.
to get the money. Yeah. So yeah, he was Sam Raimi was forever indebted to his buddy Bruce for that.
Yep.
It's kind of a cool little thing.
Yeah. So the car in this movie.
You like cars.
Yeah, I do. 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88. And that car in the movie was used in many other Sam Raimi movies. It appears in Spider-Man. It was in...
Oh, that's right. That's Uncle Ben's car.
Yeah, and it was in
Uncle Ben.
Not
He's
the guy
dead.
with the rice. I'm talking about the white guy.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben, yeah. And it was in Drag Me to Hell, which is another Sam Raimi movie. But
That wasn't that good. Did you
no,
like that?
I don't even know that I saw it.
It was
I don't
terrible.
remember. But it was bought by Raimi's father for Sam when he was 14, and he kept it all that time. You know what I mean?
That's
and
awesome.
Put in all these movies and stuff. I thought that was a cool, fun fact.
Speaking of Sam Raimi, so I was looking through his body of work. He's done a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that I had no idea. I mean, I've heard the name Sam Raimi, but I just things just the things that I've seen. So A Simple Plan, the the first 3 Spider-Mans of this new millennia with Tobey
Maguire, yeah.
Oz the Great and Powerful, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and one of our old school classics, Xena and Hercules series.
Oh, the TV series, yeah.
I didn't know that was Sam Raimi.
Yeah. Actually, that's...
Xena Warrior Princess?
So, correct.
Wow.
So for that, he was just the executive producer.
Okay.
But, okay, fine. I mean, so I'm no scientist.
Right.
I don't know the difference between a writer, a director, or an exetive producer. Nothing.
Still involved. Yeah, he's definitely involved. They originally wanted this movie to be called Book of the Dead, but they thought that if you put book in the title, the guys were saying that, oh, well, then kids won't want to go because they don't want to. It's
wanna
about
think about
reading or
books.
something like that.
Right.
So they're like, you gotta like dumb it down or make it, say
call it Dead Library.
Evil Dead.
Kids be turned off.
Right. And I talked earlier in the very beginning about somebody that backed this movie and gave it their stamp of approval, and that was Stephen King. And he said this is one of the most ferociously, I think his quote was, let me see if I have it here. It's on the cover of the movie.
Yeah, I did read it. It said it made it like horribly popular.
The most ferociously original horror film of the year, Stephen King. So he had wrote that about the movie, and they said, hey, can we use that?
That's a hell of an endorsement.
Right. So that's what pushed this movie to the next level. When you had Stephen King, who had, even now, but even back then especially, he was on top of the, horror world. And you have that endorsement that pushed it over the edge. So they used it.
That's cool.
Dang.
On the first day of shooting, the crew got lost out in the woods.
I heard
and I
that.
could see where that could happen.
That's fantastic.
Like trying to find the bridge or trying to find the cabin and stuff like that.
Yeah. They got real creative with like special effects and stuff during this movie. They used dead chickens, and they would stab the chickens for the sound effects of the
Like
knives.
stabbing flesh?
Yeah. So
Okay.
they could use those sound effects and stuff.
Hitchcock, didn't he use lettuce? I think I read that.
There was there was something
A head
he
of
used.
lettuce.
It was either lettuce or
Watermelon.
A watermelon, yeah.
a melon or a lope.
Yeah.
Lope.
That reel to reel, that tape recorder, that Panasonic was belonged to Bruce Campbell's father.
Did read
Is
that.
35 millimeter or something?
The little
the
reel to
reel.
reel. Yeah. And that's the thing too. That's so much cooler to me to hear something on there.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's spookier than like if it was on. I got a file on my phone.
Matt, your dad had a reel to reel.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Does he still have it?
Yes, he does.
Didn't he get it in like Nam or something?
Yeah, he brought
like
it back from Vietnam. He had
That
a whole
is banging. That's
Pioneer
so
set
cool.
that he bought in Vietnam for like nothing, and he had it shipped over. I guess when he came over here.
Yeah, I remember like in your basement, he had that sweet setup. That
it was
cool.
it was a nice rig.
But you get what I mean about like, and you guys totally, I'm sure because we're all the same age. I wonder what the young
I
person
think so.
thinks about that. Like to me, that's cool. Like you hear something on a reel to reel or like even on like a tape,
Sure.
it's spooky. Like, oh shit. Whereas
Or a
something like
record. Like you get little
a
skips
record.
and cracks.
Right.
Little crackles.
the analog versus like a digital file.
Right.
Like it's just not the same.
I don't need to listen to robots.
I wish we could do our podcast on reel to reel and get it out to the map, but then everybody have to have a reel to reel and it'd be the logistics wouldn't work, but
A real quick story about Stanton George with the reel to reel in the basement. He actually, the one time that movie Good Morning Vietnam was out, and he's like, Matt, I got to here. He's like, check this out. And he was searching through, and he actually had it recorded.
the real guy.
The real guy from Vietnam.
That's
he has
awesome.
actual recordings when he was there. And I
That's
was like,
awesome.
that's cool as shit, Dad.
That is cool.
So that's a cool Stanton George story.
Stanton
Ask him about
George.
it. He'll go on for 20 minutes and probably get into 8 other stories.
We should
but-
do Good Morning Vietnam, have Steelton George on as a guest.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd probably be a good one. Like another phone call like we did. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
even in here. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Sure. Why not? It's serendipitous or coincidental. I don't know what the appropriate word is. So this past weekend, Labor Day weekend, on what was it? Saturday night, I went out and I got together with 4 other friends of mine from Boy Scouts. Now these are dudes I have not seen in 30 some years.
That's insane.
Yeah, dude.
Were you guys like all FaceTiming each other or Facebooking?
What makes this so serendipitous is that we all got together because the one of the 5 of us, the one guy's dad recently died. He was one of the assistant scoutmasters
Okay.
at the time. Now, what made this guy just not only just genuinely an incredible human being, but so compelling for us boys, he was, I swear, like the best storyteller. Absolutely the best storyteller. So, your Boy Scouts, you're sitting around, you're in the woods, you're around a fire, you're going to tell scary stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
He told us this story.
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
But he didn't, he left out anything comical. Like it
Right.
was meant to be scary.
Scary as hell, yeah.
Now,
Like, so we're talking about the basement and there a book and people being possessed.
not
and-
just the book. So as a kid, and this is late 80s, that was the first time I had ever heard the term Necronomicon.
Okay.
So when I come here tonight and I hear Dave mention that word,
Yeah.
which was not at all mentioned in this particular movie, instead it was mentioned in Evil Dead 2.
Right.
That tells me that he told us the story of Evil Dead 2. But anyway, so to hang out with those guys, like Saturday night, just, no drinking, no nothing, just catching up, right?
Right.
Cool.
Right.
And just reminiscing and really celebrating the memory of this guy. And then to that next day to watch this movie for the first time,
Mhm.
and then to do the write-up and hear you say, Dave, the term Necronomicon, like that's just freaky weird, man. Like it's just
It took
so,
you back. Yeah.
it's just so circumstantial.
That
and
it all came together.
Yeah, dude, just the timing was just way weird on that.
That's badass though that he was told that story. Like, because it would be great out in the woods to hear this. You know what I mean?
And he like
This
took it
story.
as his own, like because these kids had no idea what this
Absolutely.
movie was.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. If it was late 80s, you figure Evil Dead 2 is 87.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably saw it and was like, oh, you know, that's a cool story, and kind of flipped it
Yeah.
and then put it, you know, to tell kids and stuff.
Yeah.
That's-
So biggie ups, biggie respect to Mike Lavia. Thanks so much, man. Thank you so much.
That's pretty wild. I like
cool
that story.
story.
That's
Yeah.
cool. So you were talking about the Latin or the language that's being spoken in that tape.
I want to say like Sumeria. So like, I don't know, Sumeric.
Sumeric or whatever.
Sumeric.
So on that tape, there's passages that he's reading, and some of the words that are spoken, they kind of sound like Sam and Rob das est hikers dan. It's a dan das est hikers dan de Rosa, which means Sam and Rob are the hikers on the road.
It sounds from their fatherland. It sounds
Yeah, like German
They're
or something.
German Stuben.
the Germans.
Yeah.
So Sam and Rob are the hikers on the road. Are Sam Raimi and Rob Tappert are actually the two guys in the beginning that are on the road.
Mhm.
They're
Waving.
extras, like Zap was saying. They're not listed in the, but they're extras in the movie.
Right.
So that was actually just kind of like them saying
Goofing
that,
around.
like goofing around in another language. They said that, but I never knew that until I read up on this, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta go back and listen to that and see. But yeah, I thought
That's
it was pretty
wild.
cool. Did you guys know that the crew put together a time capsule when they were done filming?
I did read that.
Oh, go ahead. Do you have some more?
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
they put together this time capsule and they buried it underneath the fireplace. And this is at the John in Tennessee.
Yes.
Yeah. So they buried it there. The cabin was eventually destroyed, demolished. But all that remained, and I think still to this day remains, is that fireplace.
Yep.
So they didn't destroy the fireplace is still there with the time capsule.
It didn't get destroyed by the fire or anything, and that was the only part of the structure. When they went to rent this cabin from the owner, they're like, "Hey, we want to make this movie here. Can we lease or rent this from you?" And we'll do. And he's like, "I don't care what you do as long as you put it back the way you found it."
Sure.
They actually made improvements to it, like Zach was saying. He was surprised to find that they had water and all. They ran electric to it. They put running
They
water.
set it up
in. They did all
for
that.
movie purposes.
And they put the fireplace in. So that was an addition.
Oh,
they,
wow.
They actually did. They made to the cabin an improvement to make it work for their storyline and everything else. But when they turned the cabin back over to him, it was actually in probably better shape than when they
damn
got
sure.
it, you know.
So then there was later a fire.
A fire and destroyed everything.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You cannot find, I'm sure if you dug deep enough on the internet, you can find out where this is at. But they kind of, they kept the location a mystery now because people were going out like
Oh, of
messing
course.
with it. And I think that's what started the fire was like people there screwing around, you know.
Goddamn kids.
Yeah, if you knew where it was at, that'd be a place as kids that you would want to go, like hang out.
If Tennessee wasn't such a far drive, it'd be cool for the old Dirty Basement to go there and test out our new our video gear and
Drove to
audio
Tennessee
gear.
for Bonnaroo. It's not a bad drive. It's long.
It would be bad. Too bad they didn't film in like Jonestown or something.
Yeah,
like
no,
close.
then we could have used it as a weird Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we could have went there.
Fantastic.
That would have been cool. I mean, in PA, it doesn't look much different from Tennessee. We could go out and
Yeah, we could make it up.
bullshit the people.
There's old places around here.
Dude, I could take it. So in Biglerville in Michaud State Forest,
Yes. Mhm.
there is a cabin, a primitive cabin. Now it's got no electrics and no water,
Right.
but it does have I think a fireplace, if not a stove. I'm sure we could go to that cabin and,
We should
fake it till we make it.
We should do that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Just do like a little bit of footage.
Yeah, sneaking to the cabin and stuff, there's actually the part where they listen to the tape in the movie that Bruce Campbell and the cast decided to get high with the real pots.
Wow.
And they were saying that they had to cut that because they started like forgetting their lines.
Being all goofy and stuff.
Yeah, they started getting all goofy and just goofing around. And they had to cut out the entire scene because they started being like just stupid. And the guy's like, oh, this isn't working for shit.
Shoot an arrow like Cupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell were like friends in high school, and they used to goof around and make little videos with their 8mm cameras. And Sam always knew like Bruce was the one that they would want to see on screen. He's like, I better be behind the camera. Bruce is the one that girls want to look at. he had like the movie star kind of looks and stuff like that. So they knew from early on that Bruce was going to be the one that would actually act in the movies and stuff like that. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I had that fact, like you said, about them smoking marijuana. They actually filmed this movie in Tennessee, thinking that they were going to avoid the cold winters of Michigan. And actually that winter that they filmed, it was the warmest winter on record at the time in Michigan and one of the coldest in Tennessee. So it kind of reversed on them.
Murphy's Law.
Flip-flop. Yep.
It's because it might have been because it was a spooky movie.
Yep. We talked about the cabin and them renting it and all that and putting it back to the way it was. That eerie, the noise of the wind, that was all Sam Raimi kind of recorded that outside of his hotel room he was staying in while they were filming. And then he put that together with his voice and and I don't know how they did that back in the 80s. Like I could do that now with software, like, you know, but we're talking about 1981 or 80, whenever they're filming this. And, you know,
Probably just like a shit microphone or whatever. And you just work like,
right.
He had nothing to do at night. He's sitting in his room, probably just messing with things.
Right. And I don't know that I didn't dig deep into whether he went to school for film, if he learned that stuff in school or anything else like that.
I mean, you can look at what Lucas did with Star Wars. I mean, the sounds that were coming out of there, or you know, the sound of a TIE fighter shooting, or this, that, or the sounds of lightsabers hitting one another. I mean, he was just making that shit up on the fly.
Yeah, looking for stuff in like his bathroom, or something that sounded funny, or he would like whiz it, and he's like, "Oh, that sounds cool to me," zoom, zoom.
And use that as the
hair dryers, like with something put over them, he would use just crazy stuff.
I can definitely dig what you're saying about the voice, though. I mean, that's hard to mess with special effects there.
Yeah, just to like make it sound the way it did. Like he had to do some kind of editing on it or some kind of weirdness. But you talked about that fire. Back to that fire. Sam Raimi, some say that he claimed that he burned it down because the place was haunted.
What?
Yeah. But,
that's silliness.
Maybe he said that or put that out there just to like create even more buzz for the franchise in the movie. But
it worked.
Yeah.
You guys heard of the Coen brothers, right?
Yeah, they were involved in this. Joel and Ethan. Yeah.
The Sam Raimi inspired them to kind of do their first movie together. I think that was Blood Simple.
That was they did a movie with Sam. They were involved in Evil Dead.
They were involved in Evil Dead.
But then they did a movie with Sam Raimi after this, but before Evil Dead 2. That was
I think they worked on the first one with him, like kind of just a little bit within the woods or whatever.
Yeah, they might have been involved in that too.
And then Joel Coen or something, and then Raimi was like, I think you guys should start your own. And the Coen brothers had a bunch of
they went on to do tons of stuff. Yeah.
They made lots of the monies.
They did. Do.
Yeah, right.
So the uncut version of this movie was banned in Germany up until, I mean, you couldn't really get it until at least 2001. It came out on DVD.
Thanks, Hitler.
Yeah. And then it was July of 2016 that it finally became legally available to have in Germany, which I thought was kind of crazy, but they're very liberal, I guess, with sexual side of things.
What, Germans?
But maybe with the violence and stuff, they're a little more not as laid back as we are, I guess. I don't know.
What, they don't like violence, but they like porn.
Basically, that's what I was wondering. I don't know.
Cool.
Okay. There was that wasn't the only movie. There was a list of other movies that were banned, like in Germany and Europe, not just Germany, but other countries in Europe. So that Hills Have Eyes poster we were talking about.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for this one.
There's a story behind that. There's a rip poster for Jaws in The Hills Have Eyes. Okay. They were basically saying because The Hills Have Eyes is scarier than Jaws. And he was saying, all right, if you're doing that, then I'm going to put a Hills Have Eyes poster in my movie because my movie's scarier than Hills Have Eyes. I don't know if that makes sense.
I can see it. I can see it.
It was just kind of like, you did that, and I'm going to one-up you and put so my movie's scarier than yours.
That's the one-upper.
Yep, right.
I did a quick little search on The Hills Have Eyes because I've never seen that movie.
That guy's weird looking.
That's the dude from
Weird Science.
Weird Science.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Don't tell anybody. I don't want to mess up my teaching job. Yeah.
So they had to stop production numerous times because hunters would just wander onto the set. And you figure that time of year. And
did you see that deer?
You're messing up the story, man.
Some dude with a big orange hat.
Big orange vest.
Just coming on the, we talked about the term deadite. So that's what the term they use for the undead. That's what they call them, that deadite. And there's like that Necronomicon. I think if it wasn't referenced in Evil Dead 1,
It was not.
it definitely is like in part
the
2
second.
or in Army of Darkness.
Well, they used Necronomicon or Book of the Dead in the last 2 or 3, or I think in the television show, and they use it all the time.
Yeah, the book was bound in human flesh and inked in human blood. Yeah, so in the very beginning scene, not very beginning, but when they open the cabin door with the skull key, or
Yep.
that skeleton key,
yep.
and the door flies open, and you see like the haze up in the, it looks like dust or whatever. That's actually the one guy smoking.
It's awesome.
That's cool. Like that looks really cool. Just have another.
Yeah.
Just blow up like that. There you go.
No, smoke 2 at a time.
Yeah.
3. Try 3.
That's great.
Hey, you got over there. Grab a cigar. Everybody just start.
Zap approves of that one.
Yeah, so like we talked about that actual cabin not having a cellar, so they dug out just a little fake cellar almost, and then all the scenes from the cellar were filmed like in another location.
Right.
Obviously, this cabin didn't really have an actual cellar. So
Hollywood magic.
yeah.
How do they do it?
So that's pretty
Money.
much it for me with the fun facts. I mean, you guys went over the other ones that I had. Like I said, this is one of my favorites. Definitely
I
love
think
it.
We hit some fun facts.
Yeah, I love Evil Dead. I really don't know, though, if I don't love Evil Dead 2 more than Evil Dead. I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch Evil Dead 2 now again. There was a time where I liked Evil Dead 2 way better.
Have we done that yet on the basement for
like
the
a
vintage
sequel?
cinema? Have we done sequels yet?
No, we haven't got around to that.
I didn't think so.
No.
We have not done sequels.
And Evil Dead 2 would be one that if we did do it, it would be a long time down the road.
Yes,
There's so many other movies.
not anytime soon. There's so many other good movies out there. I just didn't know if there was one worthy of the sequel.
I feel the same way about Die Hard 2 versus Die Hard 1.
Right.
There are times where I'll go either way as my preferred because they're both so close.
Mm-hmm. Back when I first saw these movies, there was a friend of Matt knows him, another Matt, that turned me on to this movie.
Matty
T, we'll say. He introduced me to Evil Dead, the whole franchise. He was like, oh, because we used to sit around and rent he's the guy I talk about all the time. We'd go rent these horror movies. And at the time, I remember when I first saw them, Evil Dead 2 was my favorite. I was like, oh, this is great. Like Evil Dead, it was like, oh, that was good, but this one is done so much better. If you watch Evil Dead 2, the production value is better. But then after I watched them and watch, it's been so many years, and I'm not that was like, I think I was 95, 96 when I saw it. So Evil Dead 2 was only at that time 8 years old. Now I'm watching them. They're both old movies. So Evil Dead 2 doesn't look like that far superior to Evil Dead as far as special effects and all that. So,
Matt T was a big horror fan. A lot of like the trauma movies. I think he introduced me to those. I never really. He had that. Remember, he had that little place. Yeah. And he always had like Jason versus Freddy. I remember we got one time. Yeah. And it was like, this movie's horrible. He's like, it's not that bad. Yeah.
Well, actually our theme music, Tsunami Experiment, Davey the Fly, big Evil Dead fan. I remember him and I talking about it too. And he said him and Matt discovered this when they were like much younger. I don't remember seeing this movie back when I was a kid.
They found like a VHS somewhere or something.
They rented it or whatever, and they loved it. And then I didn't, like I said, I didn't see it probably till like 95, 96, somewhere in there. And then, I've been a fan ever since. I've had posters of it. I've had, I've copies of it and everything else.
Yeah, so I'm 46 years old, and I only saw this movie the first time over the weekend.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that surprised me. I thought, especially Army of Darkness, seems like a movie that you would absolutely love.
Never saw it.
Now I can see where, Evil Dead 2, or Army of Darkness is not a horror movie, I wouldn't say.
No.
But you would love it. I have a feeling.
Look, man, I'm hooked. And I think this is going to segue us into our rating part of the show.
Yeah, I guess it's about rating.
So I could probably guess where you're going with this, Dave. By all means, start it off.
Yeah. So for this one, I'm gonna pay the late fee.
All right.
Okay.
I'm probably just gonna keep the movie.
Dang.
And just say, let me buy
goodness.
it.
He just jumped. He just went 4 whole stages up on the scale.
I don't know if you recall how expensive it is to replace one of those movies back in the day.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
$89.
Yeah.
So late fee, return or burn, we say. And I'm going to late fee this, but I'm going to try to just own it and probably watch it because this is something that I could
Dave's
watch.
just all over the charts today. He just is making up his own rental.
He's got it.
Yeah,
He's
late
got
fee,
it.
return, burn. I'm late.
He's all
feeing it.
late feeing the hell out of this
I'm
one.
late feeing the hell out of it. I'm keeping it. I'm using a fake ID and just keeping it and whatever. But yeah,
Actually, that's
definitely.
brilliant. Why didn't we ever think of that back in the day? You could have
Signing
had
up for-
so many movies.
West Coast Video. Sorry, keeping your.
Yeah,
What were the
keeping
other
it.
ones? Suncoast is the one you actually
Sun
bought.
Coast, West Coast, Blockbuster.
Hollywood Video.
Yeah, Blockbuster. You couldn't get away with it. Hollywood, you could.
Right.
That'd be an easy one.
Movie merchants.
Movie Merchants.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that was in
right,
that was
too.
in a good old Middletown.
They had a few locations.
I just remember the one from Middletown.
There was one on Derry Street.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm like I said, late feeing. So I guess I'll turn over one of you two then.
okay. I would. I'd return this. I enjoyed it. It's a good movie. But yeah, I would like to go back and get another maybe another horror movie or something.
Mm-hmm.
Try to check out the director Sam Raimi. Be like, what else this guy
See what
got?
else that he did.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I can appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I would return it, but I would watch it a few times, like as many times as I could while I had it.
Cool.
Like I'm not going to get the late fee. However,
Mhm.
this would and did inspire me, motivate me to get and watch the rest of the series.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I will watch Evil Dead 2. I will watch Army of Darkness.
I have Evil Dead 2, I think, over there. I can give it to you.
Nice.
Army of Darkness.
It's streaming.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Evil Dead
Yeah.
2 is streaming yet. Evil Dead
And
is
Army of,
not.
Army of Darkness is streaming
Yep.
too, actually.
Yeah, but it's strange that why do they always cut the beginning one? It's weird that these people do that.
So I had to watch this on it's called archive.org
Mm-hmm.
on the inner tubes.
Oh, yeah, like a streaming thing.
This
Yeah.
is the same place we had to get Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, because you couldn't find it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's just some old school thing that just holds it.
Well, I don't know if it has anything to do with, okay, so like Evil Dead, the original one, it was distributed by New Line, actually picked it up and then distributed it. Now that wouldn't make sense then. Part two is
What,
the
New Line Cinema?
Yeah.
New Line Cinema did. Once Stephen King got behind this and everything, they jumped on. All right, we'll distribute it or whatever. It was Evil Dead 2 that they made the movie and they wanted him to make it an R rating. Well, he knew it was not going to be an R rating.
Mhm.
So they actually had to put it through a third, like this unknown company is called Rosebud Entertainment. If you watch the beginning of Evil Dead 2, there's this, they had the production company thing.
Yeah.
They made this, I don't know if they made the company up or whatever to distribute it so that it could be unrated again and distributed or whatever. They didn't want it to get that X rating. And I don't know if that has anything to do with how these movies end up being shown later on, like now when you're trying to stream them, if it's the production companies or who owns the rights, I don't know. But I know Evil Dead 2, there was some weirdness with that, how that got distributed. But yeah, if you can find those other two, check them out and definitely check out Evil Dead. I highly recommend it.
Yes.
Yeah.
For show.
So I guess it's your turn, Zap, for next week's Vintage Cinema.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. Well, stay tuned. We'll let you know. Maybe I'll just surprise you.
Yeah.
Are you going to let us know?
All right.
Okay.
I'll let you
Let us
two
know.
All right,
Let
cool,
us know,
cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be cool. Like you just come into the movie like, oh shit, I didn't watch that one.
Yeah.
on the fly.
On the fly.
Right. Yeah, we'll definitely be back. Not next week, but the week after, because it's now we know we're back on Old Dirty Basement. So these Vintage Cinema reviews are coming out every other week. So we'll be back with another movie in 2 weeks, I guess.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, cool.
Next week will be a compelling story.
That's right. So don't forget to find us on Facebook and Instagram at Old Dirty Basement and on our TikTok at Old Dirty Basement Podcast. I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
Oh, on the flip side.
If we don't see you sooner, we'll see you later.
Peace. Thanks for listening to the Vintage Cinema Review in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We Audi 5000.